First, let me apologize for our problems on the internet, our internet connection, and I hope that what we're able to do here now is just basically the audio that hopefully you can hear it and you'll be able to be with us throughout this webinar. Alhamdulillah, as you know, the topic of the webinar is finding the balance between the Deen and the Dunya. That is religion and material life. This is a question which people ask everywhere I go in the world. People are constantly asking this. How do we find this balance? Guys are just so caught up with all the distractions, the technology. We're working 8 hours a day. And how do we keep our deen together? We're just struggling just to get to the masjid or just to pray our prayers. And there doesn't seem to be any time for anything else. There's a common complaint. The issue is this a new problem? Is the deen, Islam, not applicable today? It only worked in the time of the Prophet ﷺ when people didn't have time issues. They didn't have 8-hour days of work or 5 days or 5.5 days a week and these types of things. Is that the case? This was the situation? Well, actually, it's not. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were faced with similar. There's a very famous hadith, I think everybody has heard it sometime, about Hanzala, one of the companions, who met with Abu Bakr and said to him, I have become a hypocrite. And Abu Bakr said, Subhanallah, what are you saying? So Hanzala said to him, when I'm with the Prophet ﷺ in his company, he reminds me of the hellfire and paradise as if I'm seeing them with my very eyes. But when I'm away and I get busy with wives and children, business, I forget those things. Abu Bakr exclaimed, by Allah, that is Wallahi, the same thing happens to me. So Abu Bakr and I went to Allah's Messenger, this is Hamdulillah explaining, and said to him the same thing. Hamdulillah has become a hypocrite. So the Messenger of Allah asked him, what has happened to you? He replied, O Messenger of Allah, whenever I am in your company, myself, Abu Bakr, whenever we're in your company, you remind us of the hellfire and paradise, as if we're seeing them with our own eyes. But whenever we go away from you and attend to our wives, children, and business, we forget most of these things. The Messenger of Allah said to him, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِي إِنْ لَوْ تَدُومُونَ عَلَى مَا تَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِ عِنْدِي وَفِي الذِّكْرِ لَصَافَحَتْكُمْ الْمَلَائِكَةُ على فرشكم وطرقكم ولكن يا حنظلة ساعة وساعة. By him in whose hands is my life, if you remain the same as you were in my presence, and you were always busy in the remembrance of Allah, the angels would shake your hands whilst you're in your bed, and when you are walking in the street. But Hanzala, time should be devoted to the worldly affairs, and time should be devoted to prayer and reflection. And the Prophet ﷺ repeated that 3 times. Time for this and time for that. So this is not a new situation. The companions faced it. all the generations face, finding the balance. Now, if it is a problem, the Prophet ﷺ says time for this and time for that, but how do we arrange that time for this and time for that? And with what principles will govern time for this and time for that? Well, the big question, what is the prophetic solution to finding that balance, getting the deen right and the dunya right? Muhammad ﷺ, he gave us the solution. He didn't leave us hanging. Time for this and time for that is a general statement. But he gave specific directions as to what we needed to do in order to find that balance. So in Islam, it's not rocket science or deep philosophy, but a simple solution accessible to anyone, everywhere, anywhere. And all of you have heard the solution before. It's a secret in that people don't understand it. But it's not secret in that everybody has heard it. We've all heard the famous hadith, "Taraktu fikum amrayn." I've left with you two things. "In tamassaktum bihima lan tadillu abada." If you hold on firmly to them, you will never go astray. We've all heard that. What are those two things? The Book of Allah and my Sunnah. That's what the Prophet ﷺ told us. Holding on firmly to the Book of Allah and my Sunnah. So this is the solution. Okay, now how do we make it real? How do we apply holding on firmly to the Book of Allah in these times? What does it actually mean? That's the secret now. The secret that we all need to know. It's an open secret, not a hidden secret. It has become somewhat hidden, or appears to be hidden. Why? Because we don't understand what is meant by holding on firmly to the Quran. Before looking at that, I want to relate to you a horror story. This horror story is about an Indian origin British mother who beat her 7-year-old son like a dog until he died when he failed to memorize passages of the Quran. He was found guilty. Sarah, 33 years old, university graduate in Cardiff, Wales, UK. 2010, beat her child to death, then sprayed barbecue gel on his body and set the whole house on fire. At first, the police thought that the child just died in the fire. But of course, forensic was able to determine that the child died before the fire. So the issue came up. She confessed. The child was not memorizing the Quran fast enough, 7 years old. And she beat him and beat him and beat him. Broke ribs and internal damage, etc., till he died. That is a horror story about one who didn't understand what it meant to hold on firmly to the Quran. The Quranic schools that we have today are also engaged in a misunderstanding about what it means to hold on firmly to the Quran. For them, you can't teach the Quran without a stick. In fact, when I was in the UAE looking for a Quran school for 2 of my sons, I searched to find the best one. I put them in different ones. I told them, if there's anything funny, you tell me immediately. And sure enough, there were some funny things going on. I had to take them out of more than one school till I found what was the best school. And when I put them in the best school and they were studying there, I came to visit them while they were there. It was a, live-in situation. And I saw one of the Quran teachers where my kids studied with him. He sat in the circle around him. And I saw to his left a series of objects. And I wondered what they were. They were made from different things. Some seemed to be made from wood, ply, some chains, plastic, a variety of different things. So I asked my kids afterwards, well, what were those things that were sitting beside the sheikh, the qari? They said, whenever we make mistakes, he tells us to choose the object or the instrument with which we would be beaten. I said, A'udhu Billah. And I had spoken to them before I put them in, spoken to the administration about not beating. They said, oh, no, we don't beat. But in practical terms, they were beating. So I had many confrontations with the administration, because the admin was saying one thing and the teachers on the ground were doing other things. But that's true. In fact, I have many friends, grown up, I met in UK and Canada, etc., who talk about life in the Quranic school. They told me about the chicken, where the child has to squat, put his hands under his thighs, and then hold on to his ears with both hands. So he looks like a chicken. And of course, it's physical abuse, child abuse. Because of this idea that children should be forced to memorize the Quran no matter what. But there's a secret which most people don't know, that the majority of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not memorize all of the Quran during his lifetime. They didn't. The majority of them didn't memorize the Quran. After he died and Quran was collected, and many more learned the Quran. But when he died, it was less than 10 of his companions had memorized the whole Quran. So this goal, which has become now, an all-encompassing goal, where people put their kids in the Quran school, 2 years, 3 years, they're expected to have memorized the whole Quran and come out. This is a terrible situation where many children are abused, turned off from the Quran, turned off from Islam. It's really, really very sad. And what has become the basis for that is this idea. There's supposedly a hadith which circulated saying that the Hafiz will carry 7, or some narration 10 of his family members to Jannah with him. So many families, they will tell one of their kids, okay, you go to Quran school. The rest of us, we will go to regular schools and learn and come out and work in the fields or work wherever. But you just memorize the Quran. Why? So that you can carry the rest of us to paradise with you. That's it. But this hadith, so-called hadith, is a fabrication. It's a lie on the Prophet ﷺ. It is not authentic. Yes, this is a hidden secret that most people don't know. People who have put their children through all kinds of hell to memorize the Quran when it will not do what they were hoping that it would do. So this is a situation which we must address. We must know what in fact is holding on firmly to the Quran. Now the rest of us who may not be involved in child abuse, children and all these other kinds of things, though we've probably all stuck our children in Quran schools or something like that sometime or another. We think that holding on firmly to the Quran in the physical sense is to decorate one's car, one's home, one's institution with Quranic verses. So pictures of Surah Yasin, Ayatul Kursi, the three pulls, etc., are done in beautiful calligraphy, gold letters, and on all kinds of silk-like backgrounds and velvet backgrounds, etc., and placed upon the wall. And we think when we've done that, our home is now Islamic. It's decoration. Is that what the Quran was for? Is that how we hold on firmly to the Quran? Or we add the Quran on tape or DVDs or whatever, playing as background music, providing ambiance to the home. So people like it. The Quran is playing in the background. You're doing whatever you're doing around the house. This is Islamic. Especially Surah Al-Baqarah, which drives away shaitan. Just have it playing in the background there while you go around. Putting special wrappings around the Quran, almost like clothing. Some places they put like clothing on the Quran, cloth. And they put it in high places, at the top of the shelf, above everything else. If it falls on the ground, it must be kissed. Maybe children who drop it or hit because they dropped the Quran. And they use it for everything but for what it was intended to be used for. I remember in one of my classes there in the UAE, two students had registered, female students, young. One of them said their name was Naml, and the other one said her name was Nahl. Naml means ant, Nahl means bee. So I said, whoa, how did you get those names? They said, well, our father, when we were born, or before we were born, he opened up the Quran, not looking at it, and stuck his finger on the page. And whatever his finger fell on, he chose as a name. I said, oh, that's what it is. I knew people, I'd met people with the name Basmala, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. These names taken from the Quran. In that way. Finally, this is what the Quran has become. But that is not what holding on firmly to the Quran means. That we're using it, misusing it, and abusing it in all these different ways. So naturally, if we're out of touch with the Quran, we're doing all these other things, then the Quran does not provide the solution for us. We can't find the balance from the side of the deen at all. We're lost. We're lost. Reality, Allah in Surah Al-Furqan verse 30 says, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّي إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. The messenger said, "O my Lord, indeed my people have abandoned this Quran." That is the reality today. The Quran has become abandoned. We're doing everything with it except what we were supposed to do with it. The truth. What is the truth? The truth is that holding on firmly to the Quran is by treating the Quran as a book of guidance. That's what Allah said. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This is the book in which there is no doubt, guidance for those who fear Allah. It is a book of guidance. It provides guidance in all aspects of our life. And the only way that we're able to get this guidance is by understanding it. Not by rote recitation, blindly mimicking, parroting the words, the letters of the Quran. That's not the way we get guided. We get guided when we understand what the Quran is actually saying. It's better. We read the Quran in Arabic, and we must read it in our own language. Read the translation so we understand what Allah is saying. Of course, in Ramadan, if you were to try to do that, in Ramadan, you wouldn't be able to get through the whole Quran. You know, you have to read one juz every day. If you had to do that along with the English, you wouldn't get through it. But reality is that there is no instruction that you have to read the whole Quran in Ramadan. It's enough for you to read Surah Al-Baqarah in the next year, and the year after that you do Surah Ali Imran, and you go on like this with the tafsir. That is far better than just blindly parroting the words of the Quran without any understanding, like a donkey carrying books on its back. Allah gives that metaphor of ignorance. The knowledge is there, we're reading it, but we don't know what it says. So the truth about both and judging by it, reflecting on its meaning, and using it for spiritual cure, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the Quran as being shifa'un lima fis sudur. It is a cure for what is in the chest, in the heart. So that is the proper way of holding on firmly to the Quran. And we can only do that if we seek knowledge of the Quran, understand it. When the Prophet ﷺ said, "Talabul ilmi farid ala kulli Muslim," seeking knowledge is compulsory for every Muslim, he was telling us that we must seek the knowledge of the Quran first and foremost, above everything else. We must gain that knowledge. We have to do it properly, not just haphazardly. We hear a khutbah, or we attend a lecture, or we participate in a webinar here or there, it's not going to come that way. Yeah, the moment you hear explanation given, you understand it at that time, it's nice, good, it moves you, but then you go away and many other things come and you forget it. So you must be engaged in the formal study of the Quran. No doubt. You must be engaged. And this is what Islamic Online University offers. Tafsir, Ulum al-Quran, Usul al-Tafsir, to understand Quran. In Arabic, understanding the Quran. So we need to reassess our approach to the Quran and to seek its meanings and its guidance so that we can find the true balance, the deen, which is necessary for us to effectively find our way through this life. The second secret principle, remember we said the two principles that the Prophet ﷺ left behind were holding on firm to the Quran and to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the second secret is, what does it mean to hold on firmly to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? When what is most common around the Muslim world today is people holding on firmly to cultural and customary sunnahs. That's the common practice today, all over the Muslim world. People, instead of following what the Quran says, and if you were to speak to them and tell them, listen, this is not the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, but the Quran tells us to follow the Prophet, following him, and Allah will love us for following him. Why? Because whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed Allah. So we need to follow his sunnah as it is. But instead we're faced with Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 104. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ. And if you say to them, or if it is said to them, come to what was revealed by Allah and to the messenger, قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. People will say, it's enough what we found our parents doing, our parents and our foreparents, what our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents were doing, that's enough for us. We don't need to do anything more. You know, were they misguided? Were they ignorant of the religion? They practiced the religion. They were good people. You know, they'll get all the excuses. Why not to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Well, I have another horror story for you. This horror story is about people who followed the sunnah of others. The Hindu sunnah regarding dowry. People who clutch on to that Hindu sunnah have devastating effects in many parts of the subcontinent. The Hindu sunnah of dowry is that women give the dowry to the men. Women give the dowry to the men. The sunnah of Rasulullah was that the men give the dowry to the women. Men are qawwameen ala nisa. They are put in a position of authority over the women. They are responsible for them. Take care of them, protect them, feed them, clothe them, house them. It's their responsibility. That dowry is a symbol of them recognizing that responsibility. But the Hindus, Europeans also did this. Their thing was that you had to buy the woman. Sorry. The woman, to get the man, they had to buy the man. In Islam, the people may say, okay, you're buying the women. But no. This, in their system, from ancient times, it was the practice that for this man to take this woman off your hands, because women were looked at very lowly. It's a headache. For her, to get her off your hands, you have to pay the guy all kinds of money. So all kinds of things are promised to the males, the grooms. If you marry this one, we'll get you a house, we'll get you a 60-inch TV and, a Mercedes-Benz and get you this and get you that and all these different things. And then what happens is that many times the people who made all these promises can't meet them. They run into problems, etc. They can't provide what they promised to provide. As a result, the family of the groom, they're upset. Where is the stuff? Where is the TV? Where is the car? Where is the house? Where is the this? Blah, blah. And they come down on the girl. Of course, the girl can't do anything. The parents, they didn't have the money. The guy's business went down or whatever. The father. So what to do? They corner the girl in the kitchen and they pour gasoline or kerosene over her and set her on fire. Hundreds and hundreds of girls are burned to death like that every year. Bride burning in India. Okay, that's their system. But because Muslims also from that part of the world kept that sunnah alive, that evil sunnah. There was a report in the newspaper which stated, this is some time back in the Gulf News, 1998. It said, woman burned to death in Dhaka. Well, Dhaka is the capital of Bangladesh. It's a Muslim country, majority Muslim. A greedy husband, this is the article stated, a greedy husband burned to death his young wife in Shikpara in the city following a feud over dowry. Police say that Zahir Mia poured kerosene over the body of his wife, Shahnaz, only 20 years old, set her on fire on Sunday. She died at Dhaka Medical College Hospital yesterday. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. What an evil act. And this is a Muslim, supposed to be a Muslim. What sunnah is he following here? Sunnah of shaitan. But that's the consequence. I remember when teaching their students in the UAE at the Islamic Information Center, which I set up, the first Dawah center in the UAE, and a number of students used to attend. One of my students there, who was in his mid-20s, I noticed, I knew he was in his mid-20s, I had to go and check actually when his registration date. I was wondering, because I noticed all the hair on his head was gray. He didn't have any black hair on his head at all. I was even going into his beard. I asked him, what happened to you? Is this how you have been for a long time? He said, well, actually, he said, my father died when I just graduated from university. I was about 20 years old. And he left behind 6 sisters of mine, along with me, who I became responsible to get them all married. I now had to work like an animal in the field, working day, night, working 2, 3 jobs to raise money to get them. I said, well, it's not from the Sunnah. If I don't do it, they're not going to get married. It is expected that I'm going to have to do this. So I can't even think about getting married. Maybe when I'm 40 or 50, then maybe I'll get a chance. But for now, forget it. I have to work. And as much as I'd like to follow what you're advising here, I can't. If I stick with it, nobody's going to marry them. So I felt really sorry for him. I wasn't a rich person, so I could provide the dowries for him to get his sisters married, but it was really a sad case. Before moving on to understanding, holding on firmly to the Sunnah, I'm going to tell you another horror story. Another Sunnah. A Sunnah from southern Egypt, times of the Pharaohs. There's a Sunnah which people follow there, inherited from the Quranic sign, which is non-remarriage of widows. If a woman's husband dies, it is expected that she will not remarry. This is in southern Egypt. Said. That's their custom. It's understood woman would not dare to get married if she was young or old, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not supposed to happen. The family, relatives, everybody would be 100% against. Well, another article from the Gulf News. Son held for killing mother. A'udhu billah. This is Egypt. You might think, oh, it's Christians in Egypt? No. In Qina, Egypt, a 22-year-old son beheaded and dismembered his widowed mother when he found out that she had secretly remarried, breaking with the tradition in southern Egypt, police here said yesterday. Salah Ahmed Hassan, helped by one of his uncles, forced Samriya Salam, who was only 35 years old. Her husband died, she was only 35 years old. So she decided, hey, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life unmarried. I'm still young, I should marry, I should remarry. She did what is natural. But they forced her into the village cemetery in Naqada, a hamlet north of the southern resort of Luxor, where they strangled her. A'udhu billah. Son strangled his own mother with the help of his uncle and beheaded her, chopped off her head, and dismembered her, chopped off her arms, her legs, and chopped up her whole body into bits and pieces. They said the woman was pregnant. She got married, she was pregnant. So this was going to be such a shame. The son, A'udhu billah, killed his mother. Such a hideous and evil way. The origin of this tradition, it comes from ancient Egypt mythology concerning the goddess Isis. This is not Isis in Iraq. Yeah, her name is Isis. According to the myth, Seth desired his sister Isis, their goddess. She's a goddess and he's a god, Seth. So much so that he killed her husband, Osiris, in order to marry her. Osiris was the god of the underworld. However, Isis refused to marry Seth and hid her son Horus until he came of age, and revenged his father's death by killing his uncle Seth. The cult of Isis began in Lower Egypt and spread throughout the whole country. Prohibiting widows from remarriage, of course, is fundamentally against Islamic teaching. Prophet Muhammad encouraged the marriage of widows. His first wife was a widow. Most of his wives were divorcees. That was the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. Had they followed the sunnah, she would have carried on, had more children, lived out her life, inshallah, pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead, they followed the sunnah of the ancient Egyptians and killed her, dismembered her, chopped off her head, arms, legs. With a child inside of her, they killed that child. A'udhu billah. That is a horror story. True. This is not stuff I'm making up. This is real life happening. That's the consequence, the evil consequence of following the sunnah of other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm not saying that everybody in every country now who doesn't follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will kill his mother, his sister, his brother, or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm giving you factual cases where the consequence could be as great as that. Very evil. The real way of holding on firmly to the sunnah, though, the proper way, is first and foremost distinguishing between authentic and cultural. If we can't distinguish between the true sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the true sunnah of Islam, and the cultural sunnah, the customs and the culture, then we end up doing this. Burning our brides, wives, chopping up our mothers, etc. These kind of things that happen as a result of it. Because we don't know what is Islam and what is not Islam. And again, we come back to talabul ilmi being farida ala kulli Muslim. Seeking knowledge is obligatory on every Muslim. So we should find a way and means to understand this religion. If we are going to change the future, not repeat the past, but change the future, then we must have knowledge of the true sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And once we know it, then we must obey it. We must follow it. We put aside our traditions and customs, etc. Put them aside. They conflict with the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are useless. They are evil. They are misguided. If we have customs and traditions which they don't go against the teachings of Islam, etc. They're just things that people do in that area. They dress this way, they eat that way, they eat these kinds of foods, they make their houses this way and that way. It's okay, as long as they don't go against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So knowledge is the key. Also, we should, when we are practicing sunnah, when we hear of the sunnah, we should obey it. We should hear and obey. As Allah told us in the Quran, إِن كُنتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. If you truly love Allah, then follow the messenger of Allah, and Allah will love you. Follow the messenger of Allah, and Allah will love you. Also, the Prophet ﷺ has said, with regards to those who decide to follow other sunnahs that go against his sunnah, when some people had asked the wives of the Prophet ﷺ about how the Prophet ﷺ used to fast, how he used to pray, and how he was with wives, etc. And they told these individuals. The individual said, okay, Messenger of Allah, he's guaranteed paradise. So we have to do more. One said, I'm not going to get married. So I'll not be distracted from the worship of Allah. The other one said, I'm going to pray all night, every night, pray all the time. And another one said, I'm going to fast every day. I'm going to fast every day. When the Prophet ﷺ came back and he heard what the man had said, called these people together, came before the people and said, listen, I'm the messenger of Allah and I'm the best amongst you. And I fast and I break my fast. I don't fast every day. I pray at night and sometimes I sleep. I don't stay up praying all night. Even if I pray at night, I still go to sleep. I go to sleep first, I get up, and then I pray and go back to sleep. And it is from my sunnah to get married. I got married. I have these wives. 9 wives, one time. Total married, 12. Then he said, فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Whoever loves a sunnah, pleased with a sunnah other than mine, which goes against mine, is not a true follower of mine. Not fake. He's following his own desires. Whatever thought comes to his mind or her mind, that's what they're following. They're not following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so they're not following him. Also, we have to remember the third principle in terms of holding on firmly to the sunnah is that we have to be sincere. We cannot allow ritual to guide us. Sincerity in practicing ritual will benefit us. But ritual without sincerity will be of no benefit. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said to the man who prayed a 100-mile-an-hour prayer, super fast, he told him, go back and pray because you have not prayed. You didn't pray. Yes, you went through the movement, you did the ritual, but that was not prayer. He told him, go back and pray because you didn't pray. Everybody's heard that hadith before. What it's talking about. The blind ritual. Not just prayer, anything else that we do of Islam, that we do it without sincerity, then it is not what was prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed for us to do. Knowledge is the key. We need to know what is required of us so that we can follow the Messenger of Allah as he deserves to be followed. We can hold on firmly to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the third secret with regards to finding the balance is looking at the other side, figured out the balance. For the Deen side, it involves holding on firmly to the Quran, firmly to the Sunnah. What that means, not the physical, not the ritual, but understanding the Quran, understanding the Sunnah, doing it as it was described. So the third principle is that we need to put the dunya in its proper place. There is a place for the dunya under our feet. like the sliding scale under our feet. It's the world. We walk on it. We don't worship it. Because of that, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ta'isa abd dinar wa abd dirham." The slave worshipper of the dinar and the dirham, the pound and the dollar, will be wretched. This is Sahih Bukhari. Sorry about that. So, keeping the dunya under our feet in its proper place. Not turning it into an idol that we worship, a goal that we seek, understanding that it's only a means to an end, and not the end in itself. The Prophet ﷺ, again, his knowledge, he told us that one who worships the dirham and the dinar, who makes it their God, that's what their life is focused on. That's all that their lives are focused on. One who does that, their lives will be wretched. They will accumulate. They will gather. But it will not benefit them internally, psychologically, emotionally. They'll never feel satisfied. That's why the Prophet ﷺ has said, الدنيا همه فرق الله عليه أمره وجعل فقره بين عينيه ولم يأته من الدنيا إلا ما كتب له. Whoever's main desire is this world. That's his ham. That's what is focused. That's what he's chasing all the time, day in, day out, morning to night. That's what he talks about all the time, the dunya. Always, that's where he's at. Allah will scatter his affairs and put poverty between his eyes. No matter how much money he gets, he will always be thinking, I gotta get more. I don't have enough. I need more. Won't be happy with it. You'll be greedy. You will be stingy. And his affairs will be scattered there, here, there, everywhere, running after them, like a chicken without a head. And he will only, as the Prophet ﷺ goes on to say, he will only get from this world what was already written for him. He won't get any more. In spite of all his runnings and all his dealings and all these chasings and all these different things, he won't get any more than what was already written for him. That's the reality. Here is another horror story. Adolf Merkel. Who is Adolf Merkel? Back in 2009, Adolf Merkel, who was the 94th richest man in the world, a German billionaire. He had personal fortune of $9.2 billion. When the financial crisis of that period, 2008, 2009, hit, he lost $1.5 billion. Some say it's not actually that much, but say it's that much. He lost $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion. And what did he do? When he had this financial crisis, well, shortly before 5 p.m., newspaper report, Telegraph, UK. Shortly before 5 p.m. on Monday night, Adolf Merkel, he has the same name as the current president of Germany, he quietly put on his coat, told his wife, I have to go to the office for a while, and drove to the railway embankment near his home, where he lay on the frozen track and patiently waited for death. And of course, it came. The train ran over him. He died. He left behind 4 grown-up children. He left a suicide note which just said, I'm sorry. But this man, he lost 1.5 billion, and he was known to collect companies like the way people collect watches. One of his directors said this guy was, hyper greedy. So he had to sell off some of his companies. He made a bad deal with Volkswagen, caused him to lose this money, and what? He took his life. Now, he said he lost 1.5 billion, but he left behind what? He left behind his 9.2 billion now became 8.7, no, 7.7, 7.7 billion. He left behind 7, he had still remaining with him $7.7 billion. He couldn't see the 7.7. All he could see, what was between his eyes, was the 1.5 that he lost. 7.7, he couldn't, it meant nothing. It meant so little that he took his own life. Now, $7.7 billion. If a person's whole life was 80 years, the average age now in the West, people live up to 80 now, common. 80 years from birth to death. That is 29,200 days. 29,200 days. You would have to spend $264,000 every day from the time you were born till the time you died at 80 in order to use up $7.7 billion. Imagine, this man took his life. He was definitely out of balance. He had no idea of what life really was about. Dunya had become his God. Now, how do we get the dunya right? The Prophet ﷺ told us, hadith in Sahih ibn Majah, Sunnah Tirmidhi, من كانت الآخرة نيته جمع الله له أمره وجعل غناه في قلبي وأتته الدنيا وهي راغمة. Whoever main intention is the next world, the hereafter, Allah will gather his affairs or her affairs for them. They will not be scattered. running here, there, we know. Will be gathered for them. And wealth will be put in their heart. That's where the real wealth lies. Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'inna al-qulub. It's only with the remembrance of Allah that heart find rest. That which you cannot buy, Allah will put it in the heart. And the world will come to him on its knees. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. The world will come to him on its knees. So it's beneath us. It will come begging us if we follow that formula. The formula of what? Making hereafter our focus. Not just in words, but in our actions. Now, how does that translate into our day-to-day life? Getting the dunya right, benefit, and perfection. What it is about is really turning the workplace into a place of ibadah. A place where we worship Allah while working. Worship. We worship Allah while working. Allah told us, gave us a basic template. Qul, say, inna salati, indeed my prayers, wa nusuki, and my sacrifice, wa mahyaya, my living, wa mamati, and my dying, lillahi rabbil alameen, are all for Allah, Lord of all the world. So, how do we make our workplace a place where we can worship Allah? It's not a workplace of filth where we find a clean spot and we pray there. No. First and foremost, our workplace should not be a place of filth, a place of haram. We should make sure that wherever we're going to work, it's halal. So you don't get a job in a bank, a riba bank, a bank of interest, or in a brewery, a place where alcohol is produced, or any other institution which is fundamentally haram, a cigarette factory producing cigarettes, or working for them. You may not be actually making the cigarettes, but you're a salesman who works for them, an executive, or even a cleaner. You clean the bathrooms, you clean the hallways. That workplace is haram. It involves what is considered filth from an Islamic perspective. So, first and foremost, you have to make sure that the work you're doing is halal by itself. Halal. And then, how you do your work also has to be halal, because though your work is halal, you might do it in a haram way, and then it becomes haram for you. So, to keep the work halal, after choosing a halal profession, it has to be free from cheating, lying, stealing, and all the other haram methodologies in business. It has to be free from it. Deception, etc. Now there's a common question which many Muslim business people have asked me, different countries that I've been to, especially those countries where Muslims favor trade. They don't go into education that much, but they're mostly into trade. Places like Tanzania. I visited the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Though Tanzania is at least 50%, if not 60% Muslim. When I visited University of Dar es Salaam, I was informed there, when I went to see the Muslims, that only 2% of the students in the national university of the country, the biggest university of the country, only 2% of the students were Muslims. A'udhu billah. But what happened? What happened? Partly it has to do with the quality of the schools, in the Muslim communities, etc. But a large degree has to do with young people wanting to get out into business, working. They didn't care about school, Muslims, because many of their parents were traders. Now, most of the traders in the country, business people, buying and selling and stuff, they were Muslims. So the kid wants to get out quickly as possible, get out of it. So he drops out in high school or junior high school, and he joins there. Big enough now. So, without that knowledge, they're caught up in a cycle that they can't get out of. The future doesn't look bright unless this cycle can be broken. More Muslims can continue their education. That's one of the things that the Islamic Online University offers. We're offering scholarships there for students. Tanzania, we set up a learning center there. Students are coming to study online for free. Build their knowledge so that they can play a role in the future of Tanzania. But the bottom line here is that as business people who don't know the Deen, they don't have details. They know the general, okay, you don't eat pork, you don't drink alcohol, pray 5 times a day. They know the general, but specifics. So some of them there and elsewhere, Sri Lanka and other countries, they ask me, Muslim business people, yeah, is it okay for us to lie to and cheat Kafirs business? They come into our shop, we don't put prices on the goods. We double the price. When a Muslim comes, we give them half the price. Is that okay? Is that permissible? I said, why would you want to do that? They said, well, they're kuffar. They're disbelievers. They're going to hell anyway. Better we take their money, pay zakat from it, benefit Muslims in the community, rather than letting them squander it elsewhere. I said, no. This is not allowed. Islam, we don't have a double standard like that. What is haram is haram. Cheating is haram. Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ghashana falaysa minna." Whoever cheats in general is not a true Muslim. It's not acceptable to do that. So our business has to be conducted in a halal way. First, it has to be halal business. Then it must be conducted in a halal way. And we should make sure that the work that we're engaged in is something beneficial to society. Should be beneficial to society. there should be benefit in it. Not something which has no real benefit, just waste. Waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money. Pointless. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Khairun nas anfa'uhum lin-nas." The best of people are those most beneficial to society, to the community. Being beneficial. Utilizing our skills, our knowledge, etc., in a way which will benefit the society, not destroy it, waste it, extravagant. Then, the last point, which has to do with the workplace, and that is perfection. Perfection. It's Quran. Doing our best. Doing our best. What does that mean? Well, Prophet ﷺ has said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ مِنْ أَحَدِكُمْ إِذَا عَمِلَ عَمَلًا يُتْقِنَهُ. Allah loves from each and every one of you, whenever you do anything, you do it to the best of your ability. You should do it to the best of your ability. However, when we look at the modern day workplace and we see what's going on in that workplace, what we find is not people doing their best, working to the best of their ability. What we find instead are people doing the least possible, the least necessary to ensure that they don't get fired. And they practice what we call the cat and mouse game. They practice what is called the cat and mouse game. What is the cat and mouse game? The cat and mouse game, based on the principle, when the cat is away, the mice will play. When the cat is away, then people work hard. They show all of their energy, they're doing their best, they're working their hardest. Then as soon as the manager leaves, they lay back and relax. No need to work hard anymore. Manager is gone. They shift down gear, down to the lowest gear. What do I need to do just to keep this job? That's what I'm doing now. As soon as the boss is coming, no, everybody's back to work, working their hardest. That is called the cat and mouse game. That is not acceptable, because Allah wants from you to do your best. And when you sign that contract with the company, you didn't sign to do your least. No way that the owner of the company is making a contract with you that you do your least so you don't get fired. No, he's making that contract with you on the basis that you're going to do the best. You can't. That is the contract. So now when at the end of the month you take your salary and you've done the least, you didn't do the best, you're being paid for what you didn't do. So you're actually stealing from the company. Your wealth becomes haram. You didn't fulfill your contract. So, of course, what is required of you is that you do your best. But now, if you decide, okay, you've heard the lecture, Dr. Bilal said your money is haram. The money you've been collecting all these years for doing the least, haram. You want to clean up. You want to correct. Turn over a new leaf, a new page. Do the right thing. So you get out of the cat and mouse game. And instead, when you go to work, you just work as hard as you can. Do your best. What's going to happen? You will become despised by all of your workmates. They will hate you. They will speak about you. They will point the finger at you. Because when they see you working hard and they told you, the manager's not here, or the manager just left, it's okay, relax, take it easy. But you say, no, Allah is here. He sees, He knows. Even though the manager is not here, Allah knows. It's all recorded. And I want my record to be a good record. They will look at him, look at you, and say, this guy has got a plan. He has a hidden agenda. He wants to take our job. He wants to be promoted. He wants to suck up to the upper echelon. They have all kinds of names. They call him a brown noser, etc. Butt licker, all kinds of names. Instead of respecting his work, hard work, and saying, that's a good example, we should follow it, he becomes hated. So you trying to do the right thing will make enemies for yourself. That's the challenge. Keep your job halal. You can't do as the others do. Now you know it's wrong. So here is the balance. The balance from the Deen side is holding on firmly to the Quran and Sunnah. By understanding the meaning of the Quran message, and by knowing the correct Sunnah, distinguishing between culture and tradition and real Islam, following it sincerely, not ritualistically. And in the dunya, we have to choose the right jobs. We have to do them in the right way. We have to fear Allah. We have to implement the Sunnah in the workplace. And when we do that, the workplace becomes a place of worship. We work there, at the same time, we worship there. So, this is what I wanted to share with you. And the concept of this, which I point out, giving you real life examples, horror stories, is that we have to have proper knowledge of the Deen. As I mentioned in passing before, that knowledge needs to be gained in a structured way. Not here, there, and everywhere. You're on the net. You got a DVD. You heard a lecture. You're in Juma. Information is coming left, right, and center. But this information, your brain is not able to consolidate and turn it into a solid structure that you can build on. It's just fragmented, scattered ideas and thoughts. You can't build with it. Its guidance value is limited. Not to say that there's no guidance at all. There's guidance there. As long as getting some knowledge, you will be guided. But maximum, to get the most out of your effort, you need to be in a structured program. And this webinar, we're talking about the Bachelors of Arts in Islamic studies. This will give you the ability to establish the balance. And I know, of course, as soon as we start to talk serious study, some people say, oh, no, it's enough that we go to, this weekend seminars, we go, double weekend from this group or that group, and, we're getting the knowledge, we're getting it. Well, yeah, you're getting something, no doubt, better than nothing, but you can do more. And the more you do, the more you will benefit. You personally, your family, your relatives, your community, you'll be able to do something, benefit them. You'll gain knowledge. Sure, you may not end up a sheikh, but if you complete our Bachelor's of Arts in Islamic Studies, you will have the tools there that you can build on. They're all there. They're all there. And if your main issue is time, I don't have time. I'm busy, I'm working 8 hours. Well, the university is set to follow your time. You can modify your classes, assignments, exams, everything can be shifted, modified to fit you. You can create your own personal study schedule. And you're not on your own. People, look, studying online, I'm not used to it. I just can't do it. This online is just, hey, I need to be in a classroom with other people. Well, the point is that when you enter into Islamic Online University, you're not alone. Every class you take, you will be joining hundreds of other students from around the world. You have class forums you can talk with, share notes, share ideas, plan future Islam, etc. Find out about what's happening in other people's countries, etc. All of that is there. You're not alone. Hey, you can be alone if you just go in, watch lecture, answer the test, exam, and get out. Well, yeah, you can say you did it all by yourself. And for some people, that's fine. They're okay with that. But for a lot of people, they need that contact. You can join our student committees in all the areas, wherever you are. There are student committees there. You can meet up with other students, share with them. We require you to do community projects every semester. You have to go and do something which serves the community. So you got to be out there. You have to be in contact. Part of your student requirement. Some people say, well, I'm a poor student, not so good, I just barely got through. You can go at your own pace. Yes, the university course, and if you want to get the degree in 4 years' time, well then, you need to take 6 subjects per semester. For
Assalamu alaikum. We request you all to please remain patient. We're trying to get Dr. Bilal back again. Jazakallah khair for your patience.
That it's possible to have multiple people studying the same material. You can even use a projector, a whole class, 20 students, 50 students can study. If they're all studying the same subject, they can study off one computer. So the potential is there. And in terms of, just the logistics, we have one of our sisters who's graduated, Sister Ayan Muhammad, or Mahmoud. Ayan Mahmoud. She's a Somali, born in 1990. When she was 2.5 years old, she had a high fever and blood transfusion, and she ended up becoming ill, went into a coma for about 3 months, came out of that coma disabled. In a wheelchair now, she can only move her hand, her left hand, she can move her left hand, 2 fingers of her left hand, and she can move her head. That's it. But, alhamdulillah, she decided to try to practice her deen, went on Google and stumbled onto the Islamic Online University, registered with us. Her family moved to the US in 1993, when she was still quite young. She has 6 brothers and 2 sisters. And mashallah, with all those physical limitations, she has studied the Bachelor of Arts in Islamic Studies and completed it. MashaAllah. She wrote her papers, she did her exams, her tests, and etc. Everything. So there's no limitation. We have blind, deaf who are studying with us. So there's no excuse for not accessing the knowledge. Some people say, well, listen, I'm too old, I can't. Well, we have Sister Tahira in class from Kerala, coaching, who grew up in Chennai, studied in Chennai, etc. She has 3 kids and 8 grandkids. Her eldest son, Salim, helps her with her BAIS. When she wanted to go and study, she's already graduated, retired, etc. She wanted to study the BAIS. She was told about it. Her daughter-in-law was doing it, told her about it. So she decided she's going to do it. Actually, her other sons and daughters were saying, no, you're too old for this. But she insisted, went on. Alhamdulillah, she graduated. She's 73 years old. Graduated. MashaAllah. So, as they say, where there's a will, there's a way. MashaAllah. Sister Haya would like to share some further information with you. Please go ahead.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. That was really, really informative and beneficial for everybody. As Sheikh has pointed out, the BA Islamic Studies program is actually going to be very helpful in maintaining this balance between the Deen and Dunya, and this program is being offered by the Islamic Online University. The programs offered by IAU are actually the most affordable in comparison to other platforms that are offering similar programs. Yet, to make it easier for you today, IAU is offering a limited period offer for the BA Islamic Studies program only. The participants of this workshop can register for the fall 2018 semester with a link that will be provided, and upon paying upfront for 2 years, the students will receive a discount of 15%. What's better, that if you pay upfront for 4 years, then the discount will increase to 20%. So this is a really unique and great opportunity for you to avail this offer and join the IAU family. At IIU, a lot of deliberation and research has gone into designing the programs. Even within a particular course, the information has been gleaned and structured in such a coherent way that a student actually builds upon their knowledge, rather than just accumulate fragmented bits from here and there. Please tell us, Sheikh, what really went behind putting these programs together? What was the process?
In terms of the program, we took it basically from the Islamic University of Medina. That's where I graduated from. And the College of Dawah, I set it up, of course, while I was in Qatar working for one of the foremost Dawah centers here. So I personally had wanted to set up a college of Dawah anyway, to train those people who are coming into Islam in large numbers, train some of them to be able to carry on that work and spread the message of Islam in Qatar as well as back home in their own country. I also took the curriculum of Dawah from the University of Omdurman, Sudan, and I looked over the curriculum of Al-Azhar, Egypt, and took some subjects from there. And furthermore, I decided, based on my own observations and being in the field of Dawah, that there was a real need for some subjects which are not normally found in the Sharia programs or even the Dawah program. And that was computers, that all the students studying in the program had to take a course in basic computing. We also required them to take a course in education, because many people return home after they've studied overseas, etc., and are put in schools or expected to go to schools or set up schools, whatever, and they don't have the most basic knowledge of education to utilize. Furthermore, I require them also to take a course in psychology. So psychology gives you the foundations for counseling. And most people who study Islamic studies, are expected to counsel. People call on them. You are the sheikh. You graduated. Help us. We got a problem in our marriage, in our business, with our children, whatever. There are problems coming up all the time. And, knowledge of halal and haram is just not enough. In many cases, we have to have an understanding of human psyche, how people think, why they do what they do, and all this kind of thing. Going to help us in finding solutions. So I included that, but I also included information technology. As I mentioned earlier, we have to do some computing, but then also included business administration, because many times graduates are expected to head communities, to be in charge, run, manage, but they've never been trained in managing. So what happens? They make a mess. They end up, embroiled in arguments, and the group splits up, and the institution splits up, and one guy goes one way, and another guy goes the other way. All over management, mismanagement, etc. So I added to the curriculum those courses along with Islamic banking and finance, and the first 4 years of the operation of the university, that's what we did. After, when we entered the 5th year and beyond, then we turned those additional subjects into departments, disciplines, separate disciplines. So now degrees are offered in those areas also. But the presentation today is focused on the Bachelor's of Arts in Islamic Studies. We also have a master, and our graduates, most or many do go on and do masters. We have a bridge to the masters for people who have a bachelor's already and don't necessarily want to go. They've been attending Islamic classes and this type of thing. They don't want to go back from the beginning, so to speak, to study a bachelor's of arts in Islamic studies. So they have a bachelor's already in mathematics or science or whatever. They do a bridge, a 1 year, one and a half year program which prepares them, gives them the foundation of all of the various areas of Islamic discipline, and so they can then go into the master's program. Of course, they need to have some Arabic too, because the Arabic, there's the Arabic component which they have to get through. But we offer the Bachelor of Arts in Islamic Studies based on the curriculum of Medina, Umdurman, and Azhar, and we offer also a Master's of Arts in Islamic Studies. We also offer an Arabic degree, an all Arabic degree, and we'll be launching also an Arabic Master's for Arabic linguistics as well as for Islamic studies next year, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. That's really insightful. So it's like a lot of academic research has gone into putting these programs together. But from my own personal experience from studying at IAU, I could tell that the academic team was always updating the material and also listening to a lot of feedback from the students. So the knowledge itself that was being presented, it was not stagnated, it is dynamic and relevant, alhamdulillah. And that way there's a match between theory and practice. So how do you manage to maintain that balance between theory and practice?
Between theory
and practice of
implementation? Huh? I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, I was saying that since the academic team is so much involved in updating the material always and to keep it dynamic and relevant, there is a match between theory and practice. So how do you maintain that balance? Oftentimes it happens that there is a lot of disconnect between theory and what's relevant to the real world. But alhamdulillah, at IAU, they seem to be trying to manage that balance pretty well.
Well, in terms of choosing the professors, we didn't choose the professors simply by, advertising for professors in the various subjects. And based on their CVs, we hired them and had them teach these classes. No, in fact, the teachers, the professors are handpicked. I've met them, I've talked with them, I've confirmed that they have a dawah perspective. They understand that whatever they're teaching, whatever discipline they're teaching in, it should be taught from an Islamic perspective. So with that, what happens, of course, the professors will teach their courses, and those courses are recorded. So those courses continue to be shown year after year. In some cases, we update by bringing in new professors and reteach a subject because of more recent developments in the subject. But we also have what we call teacher assistants or lecture assistants, who provide updated information for the various courses and classes. So they're there providing and answering issues that arise which are more relevant to these times or these days, etc., most recent times. So they provide the access to most updated information in these subject areas.
Yes. So since you're speaking about teachers, Sheikh, I would say that, learning from different teachers and coming to eventually respect different viewpoints as legitimate, it's really an important part of a student's growth as a student of knowledge. And usually a lot of learning institutions, they're just centered around one or two teachers, but IAU functions as a teaching platform for so many instructors who are specialists in their fields and from such a wide range of backgrounds. So can it be challenging for you to maintain such a large faculty because there are so many instructors and mashallah, they are simultaneously working together?
Well, I deliberately thought to bring professors from one end of the world to the next, from America to the Philippines. We have professors from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from many of the African countries, from India, from Bangladesh, we have from Pakistan, we have from Bosnia, we have from the UK, from Canada, from the US. You know, we've tried to hire as many professors who met our criterion from as many different backgrounds as possible, so that students, you know, get that Hajj experience when they study with us. You know, every teacher is coming from some other country, you know, but they're Muslim, they're conscious Muslims, and you know, I think it becomes a good guide and reminder for those students, you know, that we are one ummah, as Allah described it in the Quran. Ummatan wahida. You know, so alhamdulillah, it's realized in our program, and alhamdulillah, our heads of departments, you see them coming from different countries. The head of psychology is from Mauritius. The head of banking and finance is from India. You know, the head of the information technology is from Pakistan, you know, and so on and so forth. The head of Islamic studies, Arabic, the head of Islamic studies is from Fiji. He's a New Zealand national of now, and the head of Arabic is from Egypt, so on and so forth. You know, this is how the university is, and this is how it has been run, and we hope that it will always be this way.
MashaAllah, yes, that's very true about what you said about having teachers from different backgrounds and benefiting from them. It's really a great enriching experience for the student, because they are able to access teachers who they could not possibly. But again, this can be criticized by a lot of people who actually do see this as a flaw, that the student does not respect the local teachers, and many people criticize online learning also for this reason, that they say that Islamic learning has to be in the physical presence of a teacher and learning cannot take place virtually. So do you think that criticism is valid, or what do you say about that?
Well, you know, being in the presence, physical presence of a teacher has its own benefit. One cannot deny that. But if you consider that the majority of the students don't have a means of access, it's either no teacher, just read a book or whatever, or an online teacher. I'm sure everybody will agree it's far better to have an online teacher than no teacher. So that, you know, goes without saying. Then, what we also have to keep in mind is that the teacher online, you know, is communicating with you in such a way, it's being recorded, that you have an advantage over the student who sits in a class with a teacher who at the end of the class goes away. Because if you didn't understand something in the class, or something, or many things, the class is over, that's it. You cannot ask that teacher to come and give you a private tuition to teach you that class all over again. However, when you're dealing with online, then the class is recorded. You can play that class over and over and over again until you've understood, you've caught everything that's in the class. And if you still didn't get it, you still have live tutorials, which you can get further information, further clarification from the assistant teachers. So you have an opportunity, which is a rare opportunity, which is not found in the conventional universities, you know, where the teacher comes, teaches the class, and it's gone.
Yes, Sheikh, that's very true. This benefit is really absolutely spot on. Finally, Sheikh, I would like to discuss something very important at IEU. which was the training for research, which is provided to all the students who enroll in the BA Islamic Studies program. In our Muslim world, there is like a crisis for research skills. People just learn and blindly follow, but nobody really has the ability to critique, to research, and express themselves well. Or on the other hand, people just express themselves in a beautiful way without a lot of research backing them up. But at IAU, from the very beginning, through assignments, this training for research is instilled into the students. And then besides that, there is a complete course which is dedicated to research, which is again finally taken into the practice of thesis, without which a student cannot graduate. That, I believe, was the cream of the entire program, which really transforms a student into a research scholar probably. Can you tell us more about that? How did you come about with that? Because very, very few institutions probably offer something like that.
Well, I realized that students were having trouble researching. When they had to do at the end, when at the end of their courses, I know in Medina, for example, we had to do a research paper before graduating. But that was something very, very difficult because people had no research experience before that. And mostly in the Muslim world, the third world, the whole teaching methodology was teacher-centered. So students were just expected to memorize whatever was there and whatever they were given and just spit it back out on the exam. That was it. Whereas this was not the proper approach to education, and that's why many of our graduates, when going to the West, etc., they're having great difficulty. They're not able to complete their studies because of their weak research background. So I made it a mandatory in every class. The students must do, for every subject in every class, they must do some research. They have for every subject they have to turn in. Every semester they must turn in for each subject. The 6 subjects you have, you've got 6 research papers that have to be done. So to try to build those skills. Of course, students complain. They cried. They say, "Oh, we're not used to it. We can't." And then, of course, they went and plagiarized. They were, just taking stuff, cut and paste from here, there, and everywhere. So we introduced, one of the those systems which can catch plagiarization. So if the system picks up that most of your stuff is coming from locations on the net here, there, and everywhere, then it automatically fails you. So, students are required to produce their own material and to develop researching skills, etc. We recognize that it's very important, and we see it in the master's level. Many students who graduate with weak research background, they're having big difficulties, great struggle. But we want to break that mold and make the Islamic Online University a center for excellence, research excellence, etc. We have started a research journal in which the top research papers of students will be published. We have also, we have a semester, every semester we have a magazine which comes out known as Insights, the Islamic Insights magazine, the IOU's Insights magazine, in which students also contribute. And we highlight the importance of writing skills, etc. So the importance of the research, we have stressed it all along. We have resisted student efforts to try to get out of it. And we have stuck with our guns, as they say, and everybody has to do it. There's no way around it. There's no option. We don't offer people can do certain projects or this and the other and you get out of research. No. There's no way out. You have to do it.
Yes, Sheikh, I must ask you, when so much effort is being put into offering these programs and to make them really of quality, which is world class, how is it even possible to provide such an in-depth education without charging this much as compared to other universities which offer similar programs, but their services are not really up to the mark and they charge a very high amount of fees? And this is like a full degree and they can be very expensive. Yet IUU is offering it at very affordable fees and even offering the option of scholarship for students. How do you make it all possible?
Well, because the intention behind the university was not business. The intention was not to set up a business where we could gather and accumulate wealth. The intention was to convey the knowledge. Fundamentally, Islamized knowledge or Islamic knowledge, as the Prophet has said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah," convey whatever you've learned from me, even though it may be only a single verse from the Quran. We try to live up to that instruction of the Prophet to try to reach as many people as possible. So we need to bring it available at the lowest possible cost. So we look to see what could be done to become a global university with over 450,000 students who have registered in the last 10 years. To be able to do that, it meant a lot of sacrifice. And the university, as I said, is not a business. So we've struggled to try to keep our students. It doesn't matter to us who drops out. So we call up students. We try to find out what the problems are, work it out, keep them on board. Not because we want to keep them paying, but because we want to fulfill the responsibility of conveying the message. And by choosing the online approach with recorded lectures, etc., we were able to reduce the cost, on us to provide this information, reduce the cost on the students. They don't have to buy books and all the other kinds of things that are required normally in conventional universities. So it is through that we have sought to provide this education at the lowest possible price. So much so that people say it's too cheap. Hey, when you have things that are so cheap, it must mean it's useless. Cheap means useless, not good, poor quality, etc., etc. But in our case, it's an exception. It's super cheap, but it is top quality. Our students have entered into other institutions, they've left from other institutions, joined us, and they've all borne witness that standard that we have at the university is amongst the highest standards. All our teachers are PhDs or masters. We have nobody less than that. Majority are PhDs, qualified, experienced. So we've tried to bring the best available to the students, and inshallah we'll continue to do so until Allah takes us from this world and replaces us with others who will continue, inshallah, with the same effort. So our basis, our vision was that if we need $1,000 to run a particular program or to run the system, university, then we can either get 100 people paying each $1,000. Sorry, 100 people paying $10 will get us our 1,000, and 10 people paying $100 will also get us our 1,000. Now, from a business perspective, it's far better to have only 10 people to deal with, paying 100, than to have 100 people paying 10. Because you got 10 times the requirements in terms of looking after, providing for, guiding, all the different things that comes along with the educational process. But we went with the crowdfunding approach. We get the biggest number to pay a little bit, and we're able to serve the largest number of people possible. Because right now, we have about 6,000 students in our degree program, and they pay for the 450,000 students who are studying for free in our pre-diploma program. So this system, this way, which is the way of education as opposed to the way of business, has proven itself successful. And we pray that Allah will give it greater and greater success.
Yes, Sheikh, may Allah reward you for your efforts and bless you in the vision that you have for IOU to benefit the Ummah. We thank you for your precious time, Jazakallah khairan kaseer, for speaking on this important topic and elaborating on the program offered by IOU. We look forward to hearing from you again very soon, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan kaseer. And we thank all the participants today who joined us, and we apologize once again for the delay that was caused from our end. We are really grateful that you stuck it out with us. We would like to again remind you that studying at IOU is a great opportunity to establish your foundation in Islamic studies. And today we have a promotional offer which is being offered to the participants of this workshop. You can avail the opportunity to study the BA Islamic Studies program at IOU at an affordable price. We look forward to joining the IOU family and benefiting yourself and your family as well as your community with the knowledge of Islam, inshallah. Thank you once again, and please remember us in your du'as, and take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.